I am 71, so I have been, I have had quite a last 20 years of
Hmm.
undescribable issues. So in my 40s, I felt great. In my 50s, my legs started stowing up and I could hardly move my ankles but I was standing on concrete all day doing retail. And so I just kept plodding along. And then I started, I started having extreme leg cramps. And well, then I got so run down. I was helping my husband do construction and we were just going and going and going and not taking a day off, exhausting ourselves and just kept on going because that was our income. And so finally my body just started cramping up, like extreme cramps, like I couldn't even stand the pain. It was so excruciating. So then I finally just went to the emergency room and I had to wait 2 hours just taking mineral water for my husband to wake up, could drive me up there because I didn't know if I could even get in the truck.
Hmm.
And so we got there and they took my blood. And the nurse said, wow, your blood is sure thin. And I looked, and you never look at the vial when you're because it makes you pass out. So I looked and my blood wasn't red, it was orange.
Oh,
And I thought, oh dear. And so I had drank so much mineral water that my tests came out pretty normal. So I came back and I called my holistic practitioner and I said, I think I'm in trouble. And she said, what's going on? I explained it to her. She said, yes, you need to get over here right now. And so yeah,
okay. Can I ask a quick question?
yes.
So you're because you've been drinking so many minerals,
Mhm.
that's what changed your blood to look like an orange tint. And because the minerals were there, they didn't see anything wrong. Is that what you said,
That's
basically?
exactly right.
Okay, keep moving. Wow, this is
Okay.
fascinating.
So at this point, my blood was still orange, and I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm dying." So I started going to this holistic practitioner. She treated me for 8 years. Well, during this time, well, back up a little bit. I got H1N1. I got so exhausted, and I got H1N1, really sick, turned into bronchitis, and then I was in so much pain. I went and they put me on antibiotics, of course. And I went through the whole 10-day thing and it gave me a severe diarrhea. So during this time, having diarrhea and having orange blood, I started going to my holistic practitioner about 8 years ago, went off sugar, started eating incredibly organic, incredibly expensive food, basically all had to pre everything because my body wasn't even accepting vitamins and minerals at that point. It was rejecting, and everything was just flushing through me. So
Oh,
this
wow.
kept going. This kept going on and on, in spite of the fact that I was getting treatments every month, spending $500 a month just on nutrition and minerals and to try to keep myself so I could walk. I almost got to the point I couldn't stand up. I was so weak and so crampy. So this went on and she brought it back a little bit. I still had diarrhea though. And then finally she had to move, so I was not able to be treated anymore. But I was continuing to eat right and take gobs and gobs of vitamins just to keep myself going. Backed off from the construction a little bit because the minute I did that I got cramps. And drinking, mineral uh, calm for magnesium at night so I could actually go to sleep. It was so bad.
I do.
Every night for 10 years I've been doing this. And finally I we had been introduced then I blacked out in the kitchen. I was doing still blacking out occasionally. So
Wow.
one night in the middle of the night I had a leg cramp. So I walked out to the kitchen. I was stirring my calm, and then I woke up on the floor looking at the ceiling and I had fallen on my right shoulder. So then I tore my rotator cuff, totally tore it, totally around, so that when you leaned forward, it felt like the ball in the socket was going to fall forward and fall out because there was nothing attaching it.
Wow.
And so finally, after weeks and weeks, they finally got an MRI and I went to a sports doctor and he said, you have damaged your rotator cuff so bad, I would not even advise surgery because you would need an entire shoulder replacement.
Wow.
So I got the one doctor who actually um, agreed with the way I like to be treated. So he actually he actually just worked with me every 3 weeks for a year and a half. I took lidocaine and um, shots for with lidocaine and saline so I could have range of motion. And so I was just continuing to do that for a year and a half. And then my hairdresser said to me, I know Connie Buckley, and she's been on these patches and it's changed her life. And so I said, okay, I'd like to at least try them. So she called Connie came over, signed me up. While I was waiting for the patches to come, I actually got COVID. So then I lost all my taste, all my ability to swallow. Oh my gosh, I was in so much pain, couldn't smell. So then I got the patches. And then like the second or third day, I totally could smell. For the first, I was smelling better than I had smelled in 30 years. I could smell paint that had dried like weeks ago. And and then a couple of weeks, just the second week in on the patches, my diarrhea quit. I couldn't believe it. I just was so I thought, wow, this is incredible. This is changing my life. So then as time went on, my leg cramps began to diminish just a little bit. I mean, they were not near as severe. Um, and then it's just one thing after another. And my, I just started getting tingling in my back of my head, and my legs were starting to get sensation that I hadn't realized I hadn't been numb. I'd been numb so long that I hadn't had feeling in my legs really and my feet. And so then I just kept going, and then at the end of 7 months, I had my eyes examined. And like 25 years before that, I had been told that I had the beginning of macular degeneration. And kind of in the back of my mind, I was kind of worried. I sure didn't want to go blind. I've always told people I want to live to be 100, but I didn't want to do it blind. So after all that, then at the end of 7 months on the patches, about the end of July, I had an eye exam. And so I asked my optometrist, well, can you see any macular degeneration? And she said, well, let me look again. So she gets her little light and shines at my eye. And boy, she's just looking in there. And she said, absolutely no trace of macular degeneration after 25 years.
Amazing.
Yeah. So then I was like, wow,
Wow.
this is really cool. So I just, I've had the X39 and the X49 and the Eon on my shoulder. And it's like I'm doing all kinds of no pain. I mean, I couldn't even think of moving it before. It was so painful. And so it's just been just a walk of healing. And um I just can't even say enough about it. Just getting quality of life back. And
Yes.
one day I was sitting on the end of the bed and I said, well, nothing in my life has changed. I still have rotator cuff issues. Everything was the same, but I was just euphoric. I mean, I didn't realize that I was probably a little bit depressed or something. And I just was happy. I mean, I just have such hope now that things are going forward, and I'm not going to just sit around in a wheelchair and wait for people to wait on me because that hasn't been real successful. One more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I had my lab tests done last month. I am no longer anemic.